for Uhuru, and we are about to rise up. We got brother every Wednesday night right here.
Mm-hmm.
God willing,
Mm-hmm.
me and Kala Genesis, aka Kala Thanos,
Mm-hmm.
we rise up together.
Yep.
And tonight's subject is reparations without nationhood a fantasy? Is it a fantasy? Can it be done? Has it ever been done? But
So,
I want to bring up one thing first off.
yeah.
Let me bring this up. So let me ask you. I'm gonna ask you two questions, Colin.
Yeah.
You there?
Yeah. I'm here. I'm here. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you two questions. Have Black people ever experienced equality in America?
No. No. And they never
Okay.
will.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you another question then. Have Black people ever built a nation of their own?
Yes. Yes.
So if we built a nation of our own before,
Mm-hmm.
but we've never experienced equality, why every time we bring up nationhood, all of a sudden, oh, that nationhood talk, it never happened. Oh, that's a pipe dream. It could never happen. Oh man. See, they trying to change the subject. They trying to be a distraction. All
Yeah.
that nation, they
It's a pipe dream.
distraction.
It's a pipe dream. It'll never happen. But it actually happened before. It's a success. Here's the issue right here. The problem is, and like I said, I'm gonna reveal some stuff tonight, and people are gonna be shocked. A lot of stuff I talk about tonight, they're gonna be like, "You're." And I'm not trying to insult anybody. Let me say that. So I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm not trying to belittle anybody. I know people have it's a hot button topic. People have a passion and emotion. I know we're inspirational people and we're an emotional people, and we don't really think about it in terms of reason, logic on the whole. And those people, black people who do think reasonably, logically, are often bullied into silence and everything. And the people that yell the most, allow the most, dominate everything that goes on. The
Hmm.
problem is this: black people in the West, just overall, we have a education deficit in the world.
Huge.
Huge education. We do not know how history. We don't know real history. Now, why do you think people can make up history at any time they want to? I'm seeing all kinds of crazy stuff. The First World
Yeah.
War, you can make up anything, and then basically people will challenge you on nonsense and everything. We reject books. We reject learning. We reject all those things that gave us that the world has said this works and this is how it's supposed to be done. Look where it is. But we want all these things. We want equality, absent any sort of putting any effort and to learn how the real world works. Right? We reject education. Right? And like I said, and this is not anything new to just the black people. This has been a challenge since the dawn of civilization. There
Hmm.
are people who think with their stomachs, who think on their baser instincts, and there's people that think intellectually, they think farsightedly, and they think long term and logically and regionally. That's why we had the age of reason and the age of enlightenment and all stuff like that. The Arab world pre-Islam gave us reason and logic. In the African mind, in ancient Ethiopia and places like Timbuktu, realized there was a thing called reason, logic, and understanding that overshadowed what you might think of as far as like religion, whatever. There is reason, there's logic, there is balance, and there's order, and there's things that need to be done and everything.
Real quick, caller. This is gonna be a call in, so I gotta let Kyle do his thing for like another 30, 45 minutes,
Right.
and then we'll allow people to
The call
call
in. The
the
call in.
call. So everyone that's like, oh, Dynas and Kyle are anti ADOS. You're more
Oh,
than
Lord.
welcome to call in.
That's another thing. After I speak, I don't think they're gonna want to call in, but
Yeah, yeah. So guys, please hit that like button as you come to the chat room. Please hit the like button. I was gonna ask for the like. Hit the like button. All right, go ahead, Colin.
yeah, no cost anything. You can't super chat. Hit the like button. Okay, now the problem is this, right? We have an education deficit, right? We don't even know proper terminology. You know, we don't even know what the term reparations really means. Okay, We haven't even had anyone study examples of a nation paying somebody reparations and use that example. And I'm gonna start off by talking about the Japanese. You know, and people are going at me for last week. Oh, the Japanese got reparations. Let me say this right now here: the Japanese did not receive reparations for what happened to them and were in the internment camps. That was not reparations. Reparations means to repair, to rebuild, to restore. The Japanese got equivalent of $20,000 a piece. What they lost, right? Japanese people don't really understand this. How powerful the Japanese community was in California. They had shipping docks. You know what I'm saying? They had warehouses, right? They own strips of land. They own farms. They own factories and everything. If you would calculate all what the Japanese lost, right, individually and collectively, you'll talk about tens of billions of dollars. So that little payoff they got was compensation. It was put into a Civil Rights Act law in 1988 as a last minute rider attempt to appease a Japanese constitutionally talking about compensation. There was nothing about reparations. Reparations, I'm going to explain what reparations is. Reparations is done by treaties. Treaties when the victor, imposes on the vanquished. You have to pay this out. And I'm going to give you several examples of how reparations was paid, and it was done by force. When you cease fire in a war, right? The victor. We're the only group of people, like I said, logically, and it's getting so embarrassing that we don't know enough history that.
Kala, I don't want to interrupt you, but I really want you to. I want you to answer this question or
Yeah.
address this statement, please. And I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, bro, go ahead, bro.
What are you talking about? We have a nation. That nation is America. We are Americans.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me put it to you like this, right? Let me put it to you like this. A woman gets ready to get a divorce from her husband, right? All right. That's not when you divorce and you get half the money. That's not reparations. That's compensation. You get alimony, right? That's a statute, right? You walk away because you put into the marriage everything. The courts rule that you are to be compensated for your bearing this man's children and raising this thing. So you don't leave with nothing. That's a compensation and alimony laws. And they're built around compensation. It's not rebuilding you back up because you lost a marriage, right? Now, if you're going to be now the person that's saying that we have a country called America, all right, that's fine. Look. If you say that, that's fine. Then go out there, right? I would suggest, strongly suggest what you do is go out to your local 7-Eleven, right? You see that white man pumping gas, right? Go up to him and say, "Can I pump your gas, Mr. White Man?" You know what I'm saying? Pray for him, right? Let him rub you on the head and whatnot, and say, "You know something? We're gonna live happily ever after." Because I don't give a damn about police shootings, all the stuff that happened in slavery. I forgive you. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you do that, right? If you do that, there's some black people. Like I said, I'm gonna talk about this too. There's a lot of comfortable Negroes in America, right? They're comfortable. They will say we got to change America, but they know they have no ability to fight white supremacy and all this kind of nonsense. That's something they sell to us, right? To give them an excuse to hold on to their job. You can't tell me any justification for the Congressional Black Caucus. You know what I'm saying? You can't show me any justification why we said why they're the only body of politicians that have a lifetime appointment. Congressman, you're supposed to train your congressman like you change your drawers. Some of you dusty Negroes don't understand that because you don't train your drawers. You're supposed to change your congressman every 2, 3, 4 terms, right? They're not supposed to be there. John Lewis, all these people have been in office before I was born. And I'm not gonna spring chicken. They have lifetime appointments. No one's gonna. Why? Not because they're doing hard work for the black community. They're doing the bidding of the Democratic establishment. The Democratic establishment wants cheap labor from the illegal aliens. They want to bust down the borders, bring cheap labor from the illegal. They want the LGBTQ. They want all these things, feminists, all this stuff, global trade, whatever, all the stuff that the Democrats are about power, just like the Republicans. It's all about power. They send you little things in your email box. We got to vote. We got to vote. We got to vote. But the real power is who's going to decide on legislation, what gets stuck here. Because the Democrats and Republicans is the same thing. Just as Democrats will add 1 or 2 things in the legislation to satisfy their constituency, and the Republicans won't. Proof of which I'm going to talk right now. I just took my certifications I do health insurance for a living, right? I just did my certifications last night, right? Now I'm gonna get to my point, guys. One of the provisions in the Affordable Care Act law, that's going to come to law in 2020, right? Was a section called Section 1556. Look it up, right? Of the Affordable Care Act law. This law, right, and it's very broad and vague, says legitimized by law that health insurance providers are not allowed to discriminate people based on their gender preference. That was now we thought the Affordable Care Act law was about giving you a cheap, affordable health care. But there's all kinds of things in this bill I'm finding out because I got to take the certifications every year, right? And I'm like, wow, you mean to tell me, well, it's a law, so I can't do it. So if somebody comes to me and says, I want to self-identify as a woman, right? I want a plan that I cannot basically look at him and her, and presume that that's a male or female. That's discrimination now. That's against the law. If you go up to somebody and say you're a man, right? A man, right? Now, not only some people lose their businesses and they
Hey,
get all.
hey, Colin, stop the slamming.
Okay, okay, okay. Now, what you call now? Well, I can lose my license and all this stuff like that. Why? Because the law is that you got to. What the point is? Who stuck that in there? The Democrats stuck. The Democrat extreme left stuck that in there at the last minute. You didn't know about it, right? Now, if the Republicans were in charge of that bill, it's more likely that that wouldn't have got the thing. What I'm telling you is this: when they pass laws, right, like Cory Booker, right, he was so anti-Trump, but yet he's in the bed with the big Wall Street banks and big pharma. Him and Trump got together on a side deal to get cheaper drugs in from Canada or whatever. So this idea of Democrats and Republicans is a farce. Farce. Now the topic at hand of reparations, right? If we know it's a farce, we know these Democrats are all paid for by Wall Street corporations and banks and everything. How in the world are you going to get a reparations bill through Congress? Are we serious about that? Now I'm going to talk about now historically who paid reparations, right? The Chinese paid reparations many times in history. When they rose up against the British during the Opium War, guess what? They had to pay reparations for the boats and opium they had destroyed that was addicting them. They had to pay reparations, right? Why? Because it was forced on them by gunboat. You have to pay this in silver or whatever like that. Then you had the Boxer Rebellion. After the Boxer Rebellion, China had to pay millions of dollars to all these countries that lost property and citizens, whatever like that in China, right? But the United States, and I read in history books when I was a kid, it was like the United States took its end of the money, right? Even though the United States was one leading charge, and built and educated Chinese kids in America. But that's what they always put in there to make America seem like good guys. When I first read that when I was in eighth grade, it made me mad. I said, why is it that the United States went in there and took over these people and then made them pay after executing all their leaders, made them pay reparations for the damage they done, right? Then the United States, in the same book, it said, "Well, the United States, we did the right thing. We took the money." I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what the history book says. But that's neither here nor there. The Sino-Japanese War. Sino-Japanese War. Uh, China had control over the Manchu government had control over Manchuria, which Russia was moving in. The Korea was a protectorate of the Manchu regime in China and everything. The Japanese won it, right? Japan, a skirmish broke out. Japan sent troops in in the 1890s. Japan won the war, right? Guess what? Now, when we talk about reparations, right? Who dictates the terms of reparations? Is it the vanquished or the victor?
Hey, the
Oh, okay. Let me stop. I hit my thing. I'm getting all amped up. Who dictates the terms of reparations or who pays what? The victor or the one that's vanquished and powerless? The one that's defeated or the one that won? Who
the one,
dictates that?
the one.
Right. Okay. So the one we're on the right track here. China received millions, had to pay Japan millions of dollars for its cost in the war. Right. Even though Japan provoked it. China had to succeed Formosa, which is Taiwan, and had to succeed, dominate over Korean Peninsula. That's what set the stage for the Russo-Japanese War a decade later. Okay, Japan's influence on China. China had to recognize Japan as most favored nation status. Japanese imperialism was growing. So all these terms, China had to pay out millions of dollars in restitution and reparations to to repair any damaged property that was left behind in the wake of the war, right? Now let's talk about the Mexican American War, right? The United States went to war with Mexico because it wanted a huge chunk of land that was connected from Oregon down to California, New Mexico, and the Rio Grande. The United States wanted that area, California and all that territory, so it went to war against Mexico in 1850, right? When the war was over, right, the United States imposed a huge treaty on Mexico, which gave Mexico signed, recognized Texas and all that as officially part of the United States. But the United States also gave Mexico $50 million at the time, right? A huge amount of money at the time. Why? Because historically, the United States does that. It'll go and say, it'll go for the records. They'll say, okay, we're going to take this, but we'll give you something back. So in the history books, it'll look like, well, we won the war, right? We gave Mexico $50 billion. They signed for it. They did it. The same thing will happen with the Japanese in 1988. United States didn't have to do that, but it was the United States was basically at the point where Japan was asking the United States to withdraw their bases and whatever like that in the Far East. Japan was beating the United States in the trade war. The yen, the United States was trying to crush the yen against the dollar with the Trilateral Commission. Japan was like growing as an economic power. So Japan uses influence, right, to say, hey, look, if you want to continue relationships with us, you got China here growing, you got Russia here, we got other options. One of the things that we have in our backlog is you promise to pay the Japanese Americans who lost property in America back. Now, what they got was a settlement, right? That was not reparation, that was a settlement. That was compensation. $20,000, after 40 years, right? You think about it, what they lost, right? When you can't reparate, the Japanese didn't receive reparations. Reparations means rebuilding. That means you're restoring something to its original state. You're paying reparations, and that's something that takes decades to do, right? Part of Germany's budget, right, was basically paying back Europe. The Marshall Plan, all this stuff like that, was paid by Germany to rebuild Europe, right, as a treaty ending World War II. So therefore, Germany had to pay reparations, and Germany had to pay reparations to what? Who? The state of Israel, right? As terms of surrender. Same thing with the Japanese after World War II. They had to pay reparations to China. They had to pay reparations to Taiwan, Korea, the Philippines, all these countries that Japan ransacked. Even Russia got in on it, with their war in Mongolia. You have to pay back all the damage you've done in the South Pacific and everything. Japan had to pay back all those people reparations, right, to rebuild their economies. Why? Because Japan lost the war. Those were the terms of surrender. That was the terms of surrender and the American occupation. These are what you're going to pay back. Thing you can only put reparations on people you have defeated. People don't understand something. Now you can say, okay, I'm going to be an American citizen, right? But I want compensation for what my ancestors went through. That right there is doable.
The ancestors were who?
Were slaves.
Okay.
You say your ancestors were slaves. Our ancestors were slaves. We want compensation. Well, just would be enterprise zone for Black America, free college, lower taxes, and stuff like that. That's doable. But to think you're going to get a wholesale reparations, right? Absent the United States, the most powerful military in the world, being defeated in war and brought to his knees, is a farce and a fallacy. It's not going to happen. And so, like I said, no, look, if you want to keep doing that and you think that's worth the fight and everything like that, it gives people hope. And I know, like I said in the start, Black people are very inspirational people. You give them hope. That's like, I understand why people are trying to say that slavery never happened, right? Because it's very painful dealing with slavery. You want to, the American Indians are pretty much loved in history, right? So Black people want to be American Indians. The Moors were in Shakespeare. So Black people want to be Moors. You understand that? Cleopatra played ancient Egypt, whatever. So white people like Egypt. So we try to force ourselves on Egypt now by saying that we were ancient Egyptians. Now you got Black people saying there what the original Vikings were Black.
They were the what?
The original Vikings were Black. You know, the guy, Europa. Europe is actually really black because Europa comes from a Yoruba god. So how did all this is? I understand. We have to make our people feel better. Anything but the one thing that can really do the trick: nationhood. You know, we try every scheme, every plot, everything. Nationhood, a nation state, a sovereign territory that every black person, slave descendant, knows that's theirs. That's
The
stacked at the
Vikings.
back of the world stage.
The Vikings.
Yo, it was like because what happened was they was trying to make Eldridge Elba Thor, right? They thought about making him Thor, right? That's
Right.
another thing that keep going on. Now they're gonna make that dude Jeff whatever his name is, Commissioner Gordon in Batman. They got a black woman, Nigerian woman playing James Bond. You know, all this nonsense going on to appease black people. They're like, yo, look, if we could just basically make them feel good about themselves, right? We're gonna make Thor black. We're gonna make Superman black. I like Michael B. Jordan. I think he's good at Killmonger, right?
Right.
Why are they trying to make him the black Superman? You know, of all the superheroes you could create that's black oriented, why do you must you make the white ones black? I don't get it. So this is what will happen. What will happen right now? Reparations is just a stall tactic. It's not going to happen. Now you could talk about compensation. You could talk about race and African American male based real affirmative action, right? The enterprise zones. Let me give you an example, folks. Now, a question was asked on O'Shea Show Sunday night. He said, "Are black or the white people think black people are a joke?" I say, yes, it is. White people think we're a joke. Now, some of the people say, no, they take us seriously. Look at how they got the black identity extremists. Now, so one black identity extremist is tantamount to 45 men Negroes that they got absolutely control over. They got absolute control. They don't take us seriously on any form of stage. Why? Because we're dependent on them for everything. Now, unless I don't know something, Dynasty, can the black man rise up one day and shut off the power grid in any part of the country? You know,
No.
can the black man shut off anybody's water supply?
No.
Can the black man stop the importation of oil to the oil refineries? You know what I'm saying? Can we
No.
just pound off to say we just had enough? What can a black man do effectively in America that white people would basically say, you know something, man, we better listen to them Negroes? What can we do? Not a damn thing. Not a damn thing can we do to make them comply with our demands. And people say, well, we could get it through Congress. For a fact of the matter is this: you can't even get uh, 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 fair housing and affordable housing. Look at the homeless situation in California. You look at all the regentrification. You can't even stop regentrification and everything. You can, and when you got black elected officials and everything, it seems like where there's black elected officials, right? Black
Hold on, let
people,
me stop you. Whereas black elected officials, sanctuary cities, gentrification,
and police brutality,
and they can't do nothing about it. But
and
when it
police
comes, and
brutality.
listen, but when it comes to impeaching Donald Trump, they're crescendo Negroes.
Oh,
You know,
because that's a
comes to
scapegoat.
impeaching Donald Trump, front
That's
and
a
center.
scapegoat. We're supposed to stop what we're doing and focus on Donald Trump. Okay, you don't like Donald Trump, fine, that's okay. Whatever. But the bottom line is what that is this: we've turned into just a mob of fan people. Other people go to engage the political process with tangible results, tangible things, right? Even when you start talking about tangible, right? Instead of saying, okay, well, we got these plans. Like, there are all kinds of people that got plans and stuff like that. There's black organizations nationwide, right? That got plans. But the thing is, like Jay Morris was saying, a lot of black people want it right now. They want it instant. They don't have a long term projection. So let me tell you something. When you see other groups of people, when they make plans, right, they have a long term aim objective. They have benchmarks, right? They have metrics set up, right? Oh, we do this right here. How can you have metric and metrics when you don't have a culture to accommodate that? What I mean by culture to accommodate that, right? If you go to the Jewish community, right? You go to any one of them right here, you'll see young Jewish boys, young as 13. They have the bar mitzvah, right? They start planning their life at 13. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna be an accountant. They got social clubs that they're gonna be belong to, Renee Griff's and all these other stuff like that, right? They have kosher clubs. They have all these things that's gonna make sure that they're part of a society, that they keep their money and keep their power, interest, and connections and everything as lifelong, like black fraternities do with each other. Sometimes, right? They keep life up. Because I don't know, I've never been in a fraternity, but from what I see a lot of bros do have lifelong relationships. Whether they turn into anything tangible, I'm not absolutely sure. You may even know about that more than I do.
They do. I mean,
Okay, okay,
if
do
you're in a
okay.
fraternity, they do. They do.
Fraternities do that's good, but that has never really translated to the masses of black people, right? And the only thing that gives black men fraternity really is the underworld, the criminal culture.
Real quick, guys. One second. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Hit the like button. And I've already put the email in the chat room. If you want to call in and ask me and Kala a question, search for huru@gmail.com. Search for huru@gmail.com. Send me an email and I'll send you the link. But please hit that like button as you come into the chat room. All
Yeah,
right, go
we
ahead.
need the likes, folks, to put the algorithms up. So
Mhm.
therefore, before you can start talking about engaging the white establishment, you got to first know who you are, not what you are, but who you are. Who are we as a people? Who are we? Who are we? And when in 2019, when we sit there and I put down on Facebook, I said, why are they making a remake to New Jack City? Why are they making a remake to Will Smith of all times of now, especially in this time of you say that it's the Trump America and white America and all stuff like that, waste of white supremacy, but yet you're gonna spend money make a remake the Nikki Barnes, right?
All right.
Forrest Whitaker is doing Bumpy Johnson. Now they're trying to basically tarnish Malcolm X's image by making it seem like they were sort of friends or something like that. That's anybody that's from Harlem, whatever, that have Harlem background like myself. No, that's a freaking bold-faced lie. Malcolm X didn't have any love for Bumpy. He hated the people like that. He knew that, like I said, there's three different conflicts of man, right? There's man versus nature, which is first, right? Man versus man. That means your enemy, somebody trying to press you. And the last one that you have to overcome, right, which is the hardest, is man versus himself. What man versus himself means is inside of every man, there's a beast. There's a lower self that we basically have to overcome. There's things that you and I, everybody, will, in the right sort of circumstances, will do to survive, to get over. There's no one above murder. There's no one above lying. There's no one above cheating. It's what you choose not to do. It's a constant battle to always do the right thing, right? And those are the type of people that can master that and with self-discipline and live on principle are the ones that survive, right? I'm sorry to say that Black America would fail in that. The white man, you would say, people say, I saw an article again, popped it again, hey, Dinus, right? And you made me think. It said a gang leader confirmed white people are coming to the hood and dropping off guns and leaving there. You know,
Yeah.
I used to go that. Oh yeah, see, the white man's dropping the guns.
See, in Chicago, in the alleyways, the white people would drop off AK-47s and rifles, and just black people didn't know what to do. They just shoot, we must got they dropped them off, so we just got to shoot each other with these guns.
Yeah, we gotta turn this place up here. We gotta turn it up here.
Yeah, they left these guns here, so we gotta just shoot this shit up.
Yeah, we gotta shoot the shit up. And so therefore, the problem is this: we have not mastered ourselves. That's the biggest thing. The white man knows that. That's why he holds the worst about us before the whole world. He gives you your 50 cents, your Jay Z's, he gives you your TIs and all these other people. I mean, I'm not saying they're all bad and everything, but are that what the best of Black America? All the exceptional, honorable men in Black America, that's who the world sees as us. I know, Diane's, when you go to Africa and whatnot, they always ask you about these hip hop artists. You know, that's what they flash that they ask you. Oh yeah, well,
Hey, but the thing is, Carter, and the thing is, you got people, black people. Oh man, Africans want to be us. They want to be just like us. So
I didn't know what to think.
listen. So because they listen to Gucci Mane, and trap music, they want to be us.
Yeah, years ago I didn't know how to handle. I knew that this was going to be a real fight and everything because like David Banner said years ago, young niggas are making their money and everything. How you do? The problem is this: we we ignored what Marcus Garvey said this. The problem is in America is this: we haven't really figured this out. We don't want to admit this, right? For the black man, I said this on the show many times. What your prosperity and your posterity and everything you want is finite, right? Someone could define. They can give you a job here. This, that, other thing. That's what Candace Owens don't seem to understand. It's finite, you know. It's specific. It's focused. It's here, there. The white man is abundant. He's abundant. It's infinite. You go to Texas, right, and you got these guys that are Texas oil barons. I don't know if you remember the show with Dallas. Remember the show Dallas
Yeah.
before your time,
Jr.
right?
Jr.
Yeah,
Jr.
Jr. And I thought about that. That's real life, you know. Built a city. White men, oil people, you know, their dreams. A white man has a dream of turning the desert, a dry place like Texas, into thriving cities like Austin and Houston and Dallas and all that, of oil money, right? He had a dream of building a city where people could gamble and everything, right? And he has Las Vegas. Well, he's bringing his family into this big 5-star hotel casino and stuff like that. Whatever his dream was, it's infinite. You know why? Because this is his land. Now you have some black people say, "Well, we got Jay Z. Jay Z can't be black people because that's finite. It'll start with Jay Z and it'll end with Jay Z. Jay Z can't duplicate other Jay Z's. You see the difference?
Hmm.
Donald Trump will make in his wake of making billions or his way of making billions, he's made so many other people millions. Same thing Warren Buffett. But the black people, the black millionaires and stuff like that, they don't make like that guy Sterling was right. He said the black people who are rich don't partner with the people. They'll give out to charities and everything, but there's no black business consortium coming up. You know, I hope Robert Smith could change that. He's giving out money to the parents now and everything. But what about building investors? That's why I have so much respect for Jay Morris, and I wish him a lot of well. I wish him well. Because people attacking him. That's the idea. You got black people that want to get a piece of the action, that want to be a part of something, right? Nobody wants to be disenfranchised and everything. They want to buy into something. Now, the thing about the nationalist movement going forward is this: people have to buy into something. You have to give them a reason to say, okay, I want to buy into this. How I'm going to better my life? How I'm going to do this to be better? If I put in work, am I going to see some tangible results and everything? And then they'll trust you and they'll buy into what you're saying. But if you don't do that and everything, you don't do that, then people are, oh yeah, this thing, you'll think, well, that's what it is. What we have right now in America is this: people don't understand. The white man, his is infinite, abundant, and infinite. We don't have infinite abundance. We don't control. This is not our space. When you're the master of your space, when you're the master, one race, you cannot have two races of people competing in the same space. We get the leftovers, the crumbs, and the handouts, and we make it big and everything. But that's the exception. It's not like the rule. The rule. We don't have abundance. We don't have it. We don't want to do that until we have control over land of our own, and that's
Okay.
only because of the nationhood.
All right. Transy Media. You got a question from Kala Thanos.
Yeah, actually, can you hear me? Can you
Yeah, I
hear
hear
me?
you. I hear you. Go ahead.
Proper. Yeah, like I like how we just touched on the abundance aspect. And I'd like to like just touch on that and be in the fact that the African mentality of spirituality comes from that of abundance, whereas the European one is one of scarcity, and that's what colonization was all about. It was
Okay.
more about driving us into, like, because if you look at how
Hey,
colonization happened in Africa.
brother, real quick. Can you ask brother Kala your? I'm sorry not to cut you off, but we got other people who want to come on. So if you could just ask the
Right, right,
brother.
right, right. So real quick about like, do you understand the difference between like reparations and restitution and restoration? Because there's slight differences in there between
Yeah,
reparations and
there is
restitution and
very
restoration.
restitution means that you've been found liable and you admit fault, right? And you're almost
Right,
compelled by force to pay restitution.
right,
If you're in the mafia, you look at the mafia movies and everything. Somebody does something to another mob family, whatever like that. You got to pay what? You have a sit down. You get a judgment,
Right.
and then all of a sudden they say you got to pay what restitution or else. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yeah, I
You
see.
have
I
we have
see.
no,
And
no power to say or else to the United States government, right? Now, what
right.
black people can do, right, is all those other countries, right, those weaker countries that participated in slavery, Portugal. Portugal right now, right, is so dependent on Angola, right? Angola
Right.
loans
Right.
money to Portugal. Why have we basically tried to exploit that greed? You know, Spain is
Right.
weak right
Exactly.
now. So is the Netherlands. All these countries right here. You know,
And the
so
French.
the French. We could cut the French off. And they'll be a third world country tomorrow, but nobody thinks on that level. You see what I
Right.
mean?
Exactly.
And the
Exactly.
reason why I
Exactly.
don't think that level because when I was with the Child Science Institute back in the '90s, in my 20s, right? To be honest with you, I love Dr. Clark. I read all the stuff like that. But I started reading some of the books and some of the authors that historic authors that shaped Western civilization. I'm like, we're not nowhere near. Nowhere near. These people had like the last 500 years of libraries, right? If you go to Vienna,
Right.
their library is so tall that you can't even see up to the ceiling of books.
Right.
And Mary
Right.
Teresa gave them mass education, everything from physics to everything, right? Was put out
Right.
there, right? And that's what modern Europe was built on, right? And the thing with
Exactly.
the two frames of thought was, since we got the knowledge, right, we're going to conquer the world and enslave people because we got the knowledge, right? Then there was another knowledge that came out and said, what Frederick Schiller said, the knowledge and science belongs to everybody. That means the African, the Chinese, whoever can have the same access to science and technology that we have, right? And then that's
Right.
that's the conundrum the West has. Do we basically take this knowledge and keep it down? You got Asian countries who caught up to the Western past, you know, because they
That's true.
got
That's
the
true.
knowledge, right? They said we can do this too.
Right.
We want to master science and educate our people. We're going to put out engineers and mathematicians and everything. The black man has not done that yet, you know,
And why is that though? Why is that though?
because we sit in America in comfort. We let the white man. Look, let me tell you something, man. You know why that is? Just drive down. What state do you live in?
I'm in Georgia right now.
Oh, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just
I know exactly what
yeah,
you're
pull
talking
up to your local gas station on a Friday night, right?
about. Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you don't get shot, pull up there and see what's going inside of people's head at the gas station at night when they're going to the club or coming from the club. Or go to your Waffle House. That's the mentality.
Right. Yeah.
You see what I'm talking
Waffle
about?
House is one. Waffle House is one good place to see this.
Yeah. And so the bottom line is this. This is what now there's nothing wrong with going to Waffle House, right? But other people got their shit together. You know what I'm saying? We're black
Right.
people, we're relying on the same people, white people, to make sure everything works. And we call ourselves Americans. And white people are like, they know for themselves. We're the ones keeping the wheel turning. We're the ones doing this. Yeah, you may have a black judge here, this, that, the other thing, but it's really about us.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
really about us. You can't do shit. You couldn't run this place without us. You know what I mean? You call yourself an American and everything, but the bottom line is we're gonna reelect Donald Trump and everything because we know who the true Americans are. That's us.
Right.
And you guys can't do shit without us. That's what
But
they
like
think.
going but again, like going back on the aspect of reparations and restitution or restoration is in the aspect of like reparations again, like how you're pointing out with World War II in Germany is usually, and that was the establishment of the United Nations and all that good stuff,
Yeah.
and how reparations is more like in my perspective, or what I understand of it, as opposed to restitution, is that it's more of a concession. Yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna give you back this and this and this. All right, now shut up. Okay, we've given you the thing, now whatever. But restitution, when you look at restitution or restoration, it's kind of going into a punishment kind of thing, because as you can see, Germany was able to rebuild.
Yeah.
They were able to rebuild and come
Well, they
back
had
and be,
to. You know why? You know why they had to
right,
rebuild? The
right.
United States helped them rebuild. Why? So they could pay back some of that debt. United States, Europe,
Right.
Europe didn't start recovering until like the '90s. That was a golden opportunity for Africa. That's the reason why Europe
Ex-
had to sort of pull back from Africa.
yes.
Because if
Yes,
we
and
could,
you're not, and let
we
me
didn't we
and
didn't
let me
we were
reinforce
so
that.
powerful. The
Let
white
me
man's name.
reinforce that. Let me reinforce that fact that you just pointed out with the time that Africa would have done it is in like I'm from Kenya, and at that time, between like independence, which was in the '60s to like the
You
early
had Britain by the
'80s,
balls.
'90s. What was that?
Y'all had Britain by the balls. He didn't know it.
Yes,
Almost
and that's
came
what I'm
out and
saying.
gave back the
Like the dollar value. The value of the dollar was about 6 shillings, but right now, when you look at the dollar, $1 is worth 100 shillings.
yeah,
You know, so right now, if it shows how something happened in how the government of or the governments of Africa, not just Kenya. You know, I'm just giving Kenya as the example because that's what I'm familiar with.
right.
But like across Africa, there was something that happened where I don't know, I don't want to call it infiltration, but something happened where we stopped being independent.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? We
yeah,
stopped being independent, and our
yeah.
governments became more of this more of colonies.
The
They just
colony,
became
neo
independent
colony.
colonies. They became independent colonies. That's what they were. They were
Yeah,
not
neo
independent
colony.
nations, independent countries. They became independent colonies.
You know what? You know what I
And
found out. You know what I learned over the years,
yeah,
right? I learned, right,
yeah,
and I learned this from I listened to Harry Belafonte say this, and I went back and researched. They said, contrary to what people think that European withdrew from Africa, actually they dug in. You know,
exactly,
they
exactly.
dug in, and
Yeah,
they had to have the
yeah,
CIA because they couldn't do it by force anymore.
and Africom. You look at
AFRICOM,
Africom. I'm like, well,
AFRICOM,
what the hell is
all this
Africa?
stuff like
What's this
that. You
Africa?
got AFRICOM, but
Yeah,
get this. We got all these so-called black experts on the continent and stuff like that, but none of them mention AFRICOM. You ever notice that? I haven't heard
never,
Indy or anybody
never.
No,
else.
no, I mean, but AFRICOM, but the thing is, AFRICOM isn't as big as some people exaggerate it to be.
I
That's
know,
the
but
that.
the thing is, Dynast, but the whole it's a
Let me
principle.
let me
I think it's
let me give you.
psychological. Why do they
Now,
have
now check
faith
this, Dynast.
on Africa?
Let me just point
Africa
out something to Dynast very quickly. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with like the Al Shabaab stuff that's going on in Somalia
Yeah,
and
of
everything.
course,
When Somalia needs to demand some reparations, Somalia needs to demand their own
of course,
reparations
of
from the
course.
United States from that time in the 90s. But
yeah,
like right now, there's that terrorist threat, all that stuff, and AFRICOM is the one that actually trains the
yeah,
Kenyan military to go and combat these people. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? So yeah, it might not look like they're a big deal out in the open, but you know,
They
covertly,
can,
you know,
they can.
they play a
Let me tell
very
you
big
something, brother.
hand.
Here's the
Yeah,
problem, right?
yeah, but AFRICOM is not that big. Like they're
But
like
check this out.
I mean, but this is no, this is the problem, Colin. The Captain Black American makes it seem like the minute you
Oh
step,
no, 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 no.
I mean, good Colin, the Captain Black. Hold on, the Captain Black American makes it seem like the minute you step, you step foot outside of Murtala Muhammad Airport or the airport in Accra, Ghana, the AFRICOM is sitting there waiting for you.
Right,
So
right, right.
therefore, we cannot go to Africa because AFRICOM will be right there when you land at the
Oh,
airport.
Yeah,
That's the
now I see
problem.
what.
that's a Captain America Negro starting point. But here, but
Yeah, not.
this is what I'll say about AFRICOM, right? Now I don't know all the what they're trying to do, but like I said, that Kip Ward, black guy, 10 years ago, I wrote about him was a clown, you know. But the thing is, the problem is this: it all depends on who the administration and the government is. AFRICOM is part of NATO, right? Not part of the U.S. military; it's part of NATO. You know, and that's very controversial itself. NATO is part of the globalist. It's like a
Yep.
U.S. arm of the globalist thing. Now we have an administration now that's really hostile towards NATO, right? So AFRICOM don't have no really the power that they had like they did under the Bush and the Obama years. You know, when they were trying to push these different things on the continent, and everything, because Donald Trump seems like he doesn't really care about what goes on in Africa. You know, and that's Dinah. Tell me, am I wrong saying that? Okay.
Hello.
Yeah, hold up, Dinah's on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead. My bad. I had to take that call.
Okay, Dinah. Now the thing is, I was saying about Trump. He has basically said he doesn't give a shit about NATO, AFRICOM, and everything. How come no one's ever exploited that brief? He had 4 years to do something. And I think the reason why search for Hulu and all this stuff is growing is because the Trump administration is not really caring about what's going on in the continent. You know,
Yeah, but see, that's a great because see when the Republicans are in, and my friend in Kenya told me this. When the Republicans are in office, they for the most part have a hands off Africa.
right, right. We want that.
When the Democrats come in power, oh my God, they just feel they got to be in Africa.
Yo, had Hillary Clinton won, oh
Oh
my
man,
god,
oh my
oh
God.
my gosh, Africa will be finished right now. You know, all you stupid fools out there. What the Clintons did in Haiti. You know what I'm saying? You think Haiti will ever get reparations? You know what I'm saying? What France did, the United States did. The United States invaded in 1915. The poverty that's in Haiti right now is a direct result of what a thing. And Haiti's a nation state. But Haiti can't bring the United States or France to bear because it doesn't have any military, political, or diplomatic power. You got to have power to impose the forced reparations on someone. People don't do that because it's the nice thing to do. It don't happen. It don't work like that. Oh, it's we're sorry. Here's the reparations. It don't work like that.
Guys, let's get these let's hit this like button. Okay, we have 243 people watching. Please hit that like button. $316. Go ahead and ask your question for Carl.
Thank you both for having me on. I had a couple questions regarding the reparations thing. I'd mentioned before the last time I was on here how the BAIO should actually get on board with the ADOS movement and to put their message more in the ether to get more people to understand. I don't think the goals are mutually are um, God, what is the word I'm looking for? Either way, it doesn't matter. It's like, I don't think I think the goals can align with each other. The way I see it, if we do get reparations, we can guarantee that at least half of us is going to blow the money, but the other half of us is going to create businesses and actually get the black economy up and working again in America. We can use that money and to finance the BIO for those who are like-minded, and we can actually set up businesses and shops on the continent. The
Hey, no,
ideally,
okay,
I would
let,
like to
let me
see
stop you.
an
There is no okay with the BIO. There's no shops on the continent. It's nationhood. Now, if
Yeah,
now trust me, Tariq, Yvette, Antonio, they do not want to leave. The bones are buried here in America. The
yeah. They
bones,
don't want anything. They want
the
Africa.
bones are buried here in America. They,
That's the whole. Let me say
They
something.
don't have to. This is everything moves on its individual. ADOS is not a group, it's an identity. It's no more a group than LBGTQ is. Each person is their own and can do whatever with their own money. And a lot of us, like myself, who identify as ADOS, actually is on board with the BIO, but it's
I agree.
going to need
Well, thanks for
finance
being
to
aboard,
do
brother.
so.
That's what. Check us
Oh, no
out.
problem. No problem. I did the mission. Land nation infrastructure. Of course, we need all of that, but that won't pay for itself. We don't
Oh, I
have a
agree,
legitimate
bro. I
business
agree.
plan
We're on the
at
same
all.
page. We're on the same page. The whole thing is this. This is what I'm saying. What we're saying is this. First, you need a host nation, right? That's what we're working on
Yes,
now. A host nation, right? And like I explained to like a lot of my compatriots on the continent, I said, do you understand that if that host nation becomes a recognized homeland or territory of this ADOS people, because that's what let's be honest with ourselves. That's what this is all about, really. The black people in North America, right? The
I have
most
two questions to
powerful
ask about that.
the black people in North America, right? Now I'm all for black. This is the difference between me and a lot of other ADOS people. I guess ADOS people right here. I don't want to alienate my African brothers and stuff like that. They're my brothers, sisters, and everything. But they have to understand that the 400 years of us preaching Pan Africanism, it's time for us to put ourselves as priority. And I'm for that. I'm all ADOS everything. But the problem is this though, there's a lot of people that use ADOS, right? And I saw a thing today on Haven Bullets. I didn't get a chance to look at it because Diane sent me a link to the show. He said we're ready to go. And the topic was Yvette and Antonio Moore says that black people in ADOS are more closer to white people than Africans. And I'm like,
Oh,
that's the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
Uh,
And
ch-
then
uh,
let me say this, brother. Dollar. This is the whole thing. If ADOS was centered around land infrastructure nationhood, there'd be no problem. But they're using something that they know, right? The last trick in the book to hang on to white America is the reparations argument. You know what I'm saying? That's the last. I mean, everything failed. We got a black president. We had a black senator. You
I,
know what I'm saying?
can
We
I
had a
just
black
point out
man that
something
won the
very
Oscar.
quick?
We had a black woman that won the Oscar. You
hold
know?
Kyle,
on. Let,
Let me just
I
point
just
out.
want to.
go ahead,
Let me
bro.
Very
just
quick.
let me
Just
just touch
to
on
what
what you
Tyler was
pointed out,
speaking.
Dynast, about nationhood. If you look at like even the Constitution for the United States, right, of America, it says that Congress has the power to interact with Indian tribes. And if you look at what tribes are, a tribe is a nation. If you look at the definitions of tribes and all that stuff, it's a nation. So until we establish our own nationhood, then even this, yeah, this talk of reparations or restitution and all that good stuff, it's never going to manifest. You know, like even with that ADO stuff,
Let me
there's
add
no
to that.
nation, there's no nation there.
Let me add to that. Show me one
Right,
treaty. The United States broke and signed the treaties with the Native Americans, right? Because they had territory to negotiate with. Show me
right.
one treaty, right? In 400 years, since 1619, has a black man sat across the table with a white man and say, "Let's sign." You haven't even signed a
I mean,
treaty.
in 400 years, there's one, but you know, it's the one that you know these Moors have gotten on
Oh
is the
man,
Treaty
that's
of Peace
oh
and
come
Friendship.
on, come on, man.
No,
That's not the Moors.
Yeah.
That's a lot of crap. You know, I mean, come on. That's nothing. We lie about, we make up
I,
history. The Moors never signed no damn treaty with no George
what,
Washington,
the Treaty of Peace and Friendship?
huh?
That was with by the sultans of you know the Empire of Morocco and blah
Right,
blah
but the
blah, and
Moroccans, the
they
Moroccans
were
aren't
black. They were
black.
black
You know,
people.
these guys are trying to be Arabs or not. Those are people who are not thing.
Right.
No black,
Right.
no
Yeah, and they're
blue
not
black man.
familiar. And
That's
let me point out for you. Let me point out something very quickly too. Yeah, it's like the people that adopt this Arab thing, they don't even understand that the Arabs, especially on the east side of Africa, were responsible for slave trade there.
right. The
You know what I'm
Moors, like
saying?
I said,
So
my brother Xavier X, Chief X, right? He did a thing, and I've known this for years, but I didn't want to hurt a lot of Negro feelings, right? But they wear their turbans and stuff like that, and they look good. Yeah,
right.
look good. But and they got their little thing, and they pick pictures with camels. Do they understand that there was a color thing in the Arab world where the darker skin was the slave, brown, and white was the elite in the Berbers and everything like that? Do you
This
understand
is
what
what,
the
and I just
Moors?
pointed this out, and I just pointed this out. I just pointed this out in the email that I sent to Dynast about how there's a caste system
Yeah, the
that
color of
exists in
capitalism.
America, just like it does in India. You know,
Right.
like in India, yeah, the Gandhi looking people are at the top, and the people that look like us are at the
Right,
bottom. We
right,
known as they're
well,
known as the untouchables or the
then
Dalits.
I believe the Moors. You look at people like Phil Valentine, right? He looks like he's almost white.
Right.
They would love to establish themselves as the light skinned Moor thing. They would love to impose their own caste system on Black America. Because you look at these Moors, I said about the Alibaba culture, right? Do we have to revisit Alibaba culture, Dynasty?
Right.
You know?
No, no,
Well,
no, no.
huh? You don't want to
Uh,
hear that?
Right. But check this
but
though.
I
But
just
check this though, right? Like
see
the thing is,
where we're
let me
not
just
at.
let me. Sorry, you can go ahead, sir.
All right, that's yeah, that's what we're not at. See, I see a lot of people saying that ADOS is anti-African, anti-immigrant, anti-anything. That's not what the get down is. We are purely establishing our American identity. That
Bro,
way we can get
but this is
these
the problem
Oh,
with
come
that.
reparations.
on.
Hold on, this is the problem with that statement, brother. The
Now,
people that are leading the movement, they are definitely, without a doubt, anti-black immigrant. I mean, without a doubt, without
Why?
a doubt.
Why are they? Why? I don't understand that.
here's the
There's a
Wow,
reason
thing:
though.
yeah,
They
I don't.
probably
they're not leaders.
because they don't
They're
want
not
people
leaders.
jumping in on the thing.
Yeah, and
Think
he's right.
that
That's the idea.
the whole idea.
Is
This is
that
the whole thing. The whole idea is that they think that there's some. They got people convinced that there's a reparations check coming around the corner, right? And they got people thinking that the black immigrants and everybody are sitting around trying to suck off their. And now let me give you an example. These people are complaining that HBCUs being overrun by black Caribbeans and stuff like that. Well, if you, like I said, if you look at the average African American, right? You know, we're not interested in education. We're not interested in that. Why? Because we look. If you're going to be an American,
I
hold
disagree.
on.
I
Let me
think
say
there's a
something.
lot
If you're going
of
to be in
people
America, you have to know how to play the American game. You know, America's white racist, but get what you can. Get your education. Get your money up. Get your skills. Everything. Play the game. What we want to do is we want to have a nation right inside of America. You know, we want a nation within a nation, and it's failed. Trying to rebuild black communities and everything in so-called America has failed. You know, black people leaving these
well,
inner cities to grow. It's failed.
how will we rebuild a nation within a nation in Africa? What other nation is willing to let us have
Well,
our own
the whole,
autonomous
the
space
problem
within
I
their
have, look, there's in the six regions, you got like, look, you got like 10 African countries who tell me they got territory and just say, if we really serious, well, you can build your own state. And like, not just one. several of them.
No, 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 no. Let me stop you right there, man, because like
They win
the idea.
that
No, no, check.
culture.
Let me just jump in there real
Oh
quick.
no, no,
I don't mean to
no.
interrupt you,
Let the
but
brother, let the brother transmedia speak. Go ahead.
yeah, I don't mean to like, yeah, like for you to get into Africa and build your own nation, you have to do what you Dynasts have done. You've gone in there, you've experienced the culture, you
Right.
respect the culture, you pay homage to the culture to the point where they've made you a prince. That is the only way you can genuinely get into anywhere in Africa and make something happen. If you're just going in there thinking, oh yeah, I'm coming in there with my dollars, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, without respecting the community that you're getting into, it's gonna backfire. You think you're gonna be getting some land, you think you're gonna be getting this territory, but there's something in the fine print that's saying, nope, you're gonna have to give it back.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know?
what you
So
have to do, the key is create a win-win situation, right? If they could,
exactly.
if the OAE can build Dubai, you know what I'm saying, it's a win-win situation for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Africa could build an Afghanistan, a win-win situation for everybody.
Right,
The
and the
bottom
win-win,
line
and
is,
the win-win here, though, would be again, like I'm pointing out, is and this is I've been following Dinah since he was like in the 4000 when he was
well, hold
going
on,
to
but
visit the
let me
Dogons
say
and
this. Hold
everything.
on, let me say this, brother.
But right,
The difference is,
Let the brother
okay,
finish,
go ahead,
please.
bro.
right, right, and I've been following him since he was going through all these communities in Africa, and bro, I love you for it, man, because
Thank you.
that is what people who have an interest in Africa have to do. If you have any interest in establishing anything in Africa, you have to go there, learn what this culture, what this tribe does, what that tribe does, and then you find a link. Like for example, I'm seeing here there's a lady, a Wanjiku. She's Kikuyu. I'm Meru. Kikuyu and Meru are they're very similar. You'll hear Kikuyu and Kimeru people speakers. They understand the language. Although when you look into the culture, the traditions, there's things that are taboo to the Kikuyu that are not taboo to the Meru, and there are things that are taboo to the Meru that are not taboo to the Kikuyu, and vice versa. And the only way you can be able to live
How
in a
about
way
let
that
me
is
ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. How about
right.
fusion? How come Africa we haven't got to the point where we could have a fusion culture that's going on in Asia right now?
Because yeah, because this was what colonization did.
Yeah, but hold on. Let me
Colonization
hold on,
ensured
hold on.
tribalism,
Hold on.
right? It demonized tribalism.
Hold on.
Right,
Tribalism is a problem. Why?
right.
Because
No, it's not. My
hold
friend, let me point out. Check this though. No, 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 no. This is what I'm saying. The colonization is what introduced the idea of tribalism that made it combative. Tribalism at one point
right,
was something that was understood. I respected the Maasai because the Maasai do this. I respected the
right,
Kikuyu because they do this.
right.
But once the British came in, they
But
started this
hold on. But
idea
the
of
thing is,
favoritism. If you
let me
look,
say this.
check this. No, no,
Hold on,
check
you
this real
talk
quick.
for a
Check
long
this real
time.
quick.
You gotta let me say so. You got me tell you ran for a long time, right? Now the
Go
same
ahead.
thing happened to in ancient times, right? In Greece,
Right,
right? In Rome, Greece, they faced. What is it about Africa, right? That
right.
is usually the enemy, my friend or adversary near me, right? Is close, is more better friends than the enemy far away, right? That's how different states, Chinese Han states, fought against the Mongols. They came together. Mongols are coming, so we better put our beef aside.
Right. Again, but look, but look, but look. You need to look at the mentality of and the cultures
Bro.
of these people, though.
Hold on. What you're doing is you're making excuses. You got stop interrupting me.
N-
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Let me say something. Then you can go back what
All
you're
right,
saying.
okay, okay. You know, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the 2 minute. I'm
Oh
enforcing.
man, come on, not that. I just want to say
No,
one
no,
thing.
because I got to enforce a 2 minute rule, man. I just, it's just
Three.
okay. Okay, 3 minutes. All right, hold on. Let me enforce the 3 minute rule. You know.
Go ahead, caller.
All right, Kyle, you got
Okay,
3 minutes. Go ahead.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Now, any other group of people around the world, right? When they saw people who didn't look like them coming from foreign places and everything, immediately they said, okay, his base of operations is far away. His flank is over there, this, that, the other thing. Right? We can't get to his base, right? He's coming here talking to you and everything. We better unite because he's the enemy. Everyone, that's a general rule around the world. That's how people stayed off.
Yes,
People
I
for the
agree. I agree with you. And then
hold on,
look.
Oh,
you got
bro,
I
to
yeah,
finish.
yeah, brother, you got 3 minutes. You got 3 minutes.
Let,
Did you?
let,
oh
let
yeah,
me
yeah,
finish.
yeah.
You're not agreeing with me. But that's how the Anglo-Saxons fought against the Vikings. You know what I'm saying? That's how what we call the different the Gothic tribes fought against the Romans. You know? The tribes say, okay, we'll come together. Why is it that when it comes to Africa, right? You know what I'm saying? You go to this day, a foreigner could come in, like in South Africa, right? And a minority could rule you. You know what I'm saying? Could rule you, and as a minority, make you fight against your own race. You know? And then like I said, Adolf would
Right.
have a point. You know what I'm saying? You want us to be and break. No, we can't. We don't. We as African Americans don't accept that. You know, we don't. We seriously don't accept that. How you let another race of
I
people come in, take your land over, and rule and
right.
colonize you and everything, and you talk about well before the white man came, kick them the hell out. You
No,
know,
check. No,
don't deal
this
with them.
and we did. Check this though. Check this though, and we
What
did
Well,
though.
well,
I'm
he still got a minute and a half. He still got a minute and a half. After a minute and a half, go ahead, caller.
You know what I'm saying? So the bottom line is, so bottom line, 2019, the excuse for tribalism is no excuse. You should know by now. Look at history. You know, there should be not whites dominating the continent right now. Right now, you got whites dominating and all this. Whites are going to dominate Africa with this free trade zone this up and running because mostly South African countries that with the manufacturing base, white companies that's going to benefit. They got a black face on it, but black people in South Africa are satisfied with that. White people still own the stock exchange. Their stocks are going to go up and everything, while the Zulus and everybody else are fighting with each other like children. You know, that's what I want to say. It's time for the excuses to stop. You know, tribalism,
I agree.
tribalism predates nationalism. Nationalism comes in when you have a worldview that sees the reality. The reality is you're black race. You know, you can fuse the cultures together and become one. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for a fusion. You know, we don't want that tribalism stuff or not. We're going to become one black nation. That's what we believe in. You can bring your stuff, I can bring my stuff, and we live in harmony, but mutual respect.
I exact and this is what I was pointing out about how I'm personally for tribalism to the extent that I've like looked into the history. Like for example, this like you were pointing out how why we can't do things the way these guys do things and they do things coming together to against the common threat, right? And the for example again in Kenya was the Mau Mau. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think the Mau Mau was just a Kikuyu or one specific tribe, but it was a culmination of multiple tribes coming together and saying, "Oh, whoa, whoa, look, these guys, we welcome them. They've overextended their stay. It's time for them to go." And the one thing that, unfortunately, it's not making an excuse. This is just a fact. Is that they had weapons that we did not have. Like in my tribe, we were warned against not fighting against them because by the time they were getting to us, we had seen that they were going around decimating other tribes, other smaller tribes. They were decimating them with the weapons that they have. So the elders at that time were like, "Whoa! If we fight these guys, we're gonna be wiped out." You see what I'm saying? So there was more of a strategy that, and I think it was leading up to now. It was to this point where there's information, there's communication, right? That is uniting us, that is connecting us. All is one. You said that tribalism predated nationhood, whereas I'm like for me, my understanding is a tribe is a segment of a nation. You get what I'm saying? Like if you look like the borders today, you will find Luos in Kenya, but you will also find them in Uganda. You will find Merus in Kenya, but you'll also find them in Tanzania. You'll find Masais in Kenya, but you'll also find them here and there. You go to Rwanda, you'll find the Hutu and the Tutsi in Rwanda, but you will also find them in Burundi, right? Because these borders that were created were not created by the African or the black man. They were created by the people that came in with superior weapons and made us dislike our cultures. Because if you even look at how the Rwanda thing went down in 1994, is they were demonizing this tribe for that how they were inferior or how they do this or how they do that, as opposed to how we do things, and that's what initiated that fight against people who coexisted with each other up until that point. You see what I'm saying? So what for me, like one thing I like to point out to people, especially people with an interest in Africa, I just tell them, just learn a language. Learn any African language that you can, any that finds interest in you. Learn it and then go to the community there. And then once you have that connection with the language, because linguistics is something very powerful. It's psychological. There's things I can
Bro,
say
you
in
got about
Swahili or Khmer.
you got about 30 more seconds. Go ahead.
Yeah, like Swahili and Khmer, like that you will not be able to understand if I say them in English, or the meaning will be taken away. So once you learn a language in this or that African language or dialect, it will create a closer link with you. Like if you learn Khmer, you will have a link with the Kikuyu, the Kambas, the Kisis, the with this and that and this. You see what I'm saying? So that idea of tribalism becomes less than what it is now because it's what was created by the colonizer. You know what I'm saying? They came in and favored one tribe, demonized their tradition, demonized the traditions of this and that tribe, and that's where the conflict began. Even though they were there, let me not lie. Let me take a little bit of that back. Is some of the conflicts were there, just like the Native Americans here, the Indians here, or they gave one group guns and then told them go, yeah, whatever. By the time they were almost being wiped out, they went and gave them guns so they could, hit back. Same thing happened in Africa. You know what I'm saying? And funny enough, what I'm seeing is that the whatever happened in America was the blueprint to be able to come into Africa as a whole.
Okay,
So
cool.
yeah.
$316. You want to add anything? $316.
I don't think he's there.
All right, go ahead, caller.
Okay, well, my point is, I think he's saying exactly what I'm saying. The problem is, like I said, we go back. Well, all it takes is this, you know, education, education. Something like what he was just saying. It's interesting. Do you know there was a small group of Zulus who were educated by African Americans in South Africa, came to the United States and everything, right? With Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, right? The AME Church, and they went to
Right.
America back in the 1850s, right? 1850s, and they got really educated. One thing they had got educated was on history of the world, right? They wanted to know how
Right.
is it that these people, these white people, little tiny white people, could dominate and take over a whole group of people like Zulus and have them fighting against each other. Same thing with education, right? Then they learned about something called racial identity. See, the white man does
Right.
not care about your tribe, whatever like that. They basically say you're black, you're the enemy. Now we can all have a different tribe. Like I said, that's why I don't like this ADOS stuff. You know, because ADOS is oh yeah, we're African. Look, the bottom line is this: we're living in a world where the lines of demarcation is about race and color. You know,
Facts.
you're
Facts.
you're you're a race. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't that mean you're minimalizing culture. And I think a lot of times Africans have a self esteem issue. You know,
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
and they have a
They have a
look.
collective. They have a collective
The bottom
self-esteem
line,
issue.
the only threat to African culture is Africans themselves because they don't think.
Exactly. Oh,
Hold on, they
dude,
don't
I
think. Hold
agree
on, they
with you
don't.
on
Hold on, let
that.
me say something. They don't think, right? Like we have all these manuscripts in Mali that the Arab jihadists try to destroy. And
Yep.
Timbuktu and Jenny and all these books that have day-to-day history and everything. You would think the Africans like, yo, well, we got this great history. We could bring this to life. You know what I'm saying? And tell the story about this region, right? Which we don't have. We have a couple books about Mantle. Do you know there's manuscripts that show that talk about what he did in the morning? He said this, his court and everything. This guy got punished. This general did this and everything. There are books that kept records of everything. But do you think the black man would ever say, you know something? Let's get a hold to those books, like the white man did, and he built these libraries and everything, and educated the masses of European people and everything to
Right.
take over the world. We as black people, black men race, don't do that,
Right.
And then we wonder why other people could come in and stamp all over us because we mine ourselves in mediocrity. That's
You're
the
right
issue.
about this.
Go ahead, caller. Got one more minute, caller. Caller, go ahead.
So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Not now, I agree with what you're saying and everything, but the whole thing is this: education, right? Education.
Eh,
We have to learn from each other, right? There's things the African
Yep.
American experience, right, is an African experience in America,
Mm.
and people have to respect that.
Okay.
Everything you see in Black America is an African experience in the West.
Okay, guys.
They,
Let's make sure you hit that like button as you come to the chat room. Please hit the like button. All right,
why
Trace.
do you think people? Why do you think people to this day are basically? You got people all over Africa, talk about Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, just for the first time. Wow, these men were brilliant, man. We got to need to learn about these people.
All
Everything.
right,
Why?
Trace.
All right. Check this though.
Hold on,
Check this
caller.
though. Check this though. About the education aspect, right? I heard Dinus pointing out the HBCUs, right? An example of that is Howard. I was just talking to one of my friends who graduated from Howard, and I was like, so who founded and built Howard? You look
The
at it,
Jews,
it's
Jews,
it's a white man.
Jews.
Exactly. So the thing is, right now, like when people are taking pride in this idea of education, we need to understand is what type of education is this? Who does it benefit for me to be educated, so-called educated, for me to have this degree and that degree, and I've noticed sometimes the Africans or the black people with the PhDs are sometimes the hardest to get to because they have this idea because they've been embellished with these titles that come from the colonizers, and now they think that they have a step up. And then when I saw someone pointing out making a comment about religion, you know what I'm saying, is one aspect of education that all Africans and all black people have to start with is their spirituality, because religion and spirituality go hand in hand in the sense that, for me, my understanding is religion is more of a governed spirituality. You see what I'm saying? Whereas
I never understood that.
no, yeah, religion is a governed spirituality. Like if you look at like Christianity, Islam, and all this stuff. I mean, all
Well,
like cultures,
explain
Well,
it.
hold on, Kyler, let him finish, Kyler.
Okay.
Let him finish. Go ahead.
all cultures, like if you again, like I'll just speak from my tribal experience. Yeah, we had our own religion and our own spirituality, and it was governed based on how we accepted it to be governed. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to these guys coming here with guns and telling you, oh no, you're doing that, that's witchcraft, that's associated with the devil, that's this, that's that. Take the Bible, and like if you watch Birth of a Nation, it was a slave owner, I mean a slave who was freed and who was intended, I mean, who freed himself after he noticed that he was being a tool, he was being used as a tool to enslave his people using religion. You see what I'm saying? And that aspect of if your spirit can't be in tune with who you are, who you truly are in your nature, then all education is futile. You can be educated, you can have 10 PhDs, but if your spirituality is grounded in someone else's idea of who you are, then you're not going to get anywhere. And is a good read for everybody. Look up Malidoma Some, Malidoma Patrice Some. He's an excellent. I just look him up. Just look him up. I read one of his books of Water and Spirit, and it's a very touching book because you
Uh,
can see him explaining how the time he was taken from his village. If you're familiar with it, yeah, you know about him being taken from his village and then going to some convent or some
okay,
religious
brother.
place
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
yeah.
Catholic.
Yeah.
Yeah, your time is up, bro. But
Okay.
let's get back to reparations.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, cool,
All
cool.
the stuff like that really has no interest in me because this is what I'm saying. It doesn't matter whether you pray to a head of lettuce. It doesn't matter if you pray to a rock. It doesn't matter if you stand on your head and sing boom shakalaka. As long as you are living in America, it don't mean a damn thing. So all that old spirit we
Hey,
chant.
but if you look at that dollar bill, if
Oh,
you look at that dollar bill, it says,
you
"In
gotta,
God we trust."
you
You know
gotta
what
let
I'm
him
saying?
finish, man. Let him finish.
The
Go
whole
ahead.
thing is, you can trust whoever you want. The bottom line is this: we're not getting anywhere. So we try every religion on the sun. You go to any black community, one of the religious people on the freaking planet, and it hasn't done a damn thing for us. We've been spiritual. We had all kinds of people came through Black America. We had Daddy Grace. We had Father Divine. We had
Father
all these other
divine.
people, stuff like that. Man, bro, I've been there. We've been there, done that. I'm from New York, man. I've been around them all. I've heard every sort of spiritual, whatever, this, that. I'm like, that's not even part of the conversation anymore. Now is this? What the problem is now is what are we going to leave for the next generation? We already fucked. You know what I'm saying? What are we going to leave for the next generation? If what we're doing right now, talking spirituality, while everybody's robbing the continent blind, I got a problem with that. I got a problem when I see what the Chinese are doing on the continent. I got a problem with the European. I got a problem with xenophobia when I see in South Africa and a government is saying, and people like Dabi and Becky, who I admired, is saying it was justified. That's serious. You know, 2019, after everything, after all the Pan African talk and everything, this is where we're at. Black people don't like each other. You won't raise a finger to the white man or the Chinese and everything, but you got so much hate for your own African brothers. That's what I want to talk about. And there ain't no religion, there ain't no this, that, thing. You can talk about that to blue in the face. Why is it that the black man does not love himself? Why does he don't want to stand up like a man? And then we want to wonder why our women don't respect us.
Because his spirit has been broken.
Well, look, you said, well, let me ask you a question. And we're like it's getting redundant, right? We say spirit has been broken. How is the spirit going to basically change the governments and all this stuff like that and the culture and everything? Well, how has it been broken? If you say you're in Africa,
Like
right? If you say you hold on, let me finish.
right,
You say you are in Africa, right? You said learn the culture and
right.
everything, right? Shouldn't your spirit and everything be able to transform your country right there? If you say spiritual law is a problem,
It should, but at
there's
this
no but.
time, the
There's no buts. There's
what?
no buts. If you have a country,
There
right?
is, there
Hold on.
is a
We in
but because
America, we don't have a country. We're not in our own space. You have a country, right? Kenya and all these other people. You have a country. There's no excuse if you say spirituality problem and you guys are the majority and everything like that. You should be on your way. You should be helping us.
that's not that's true to some extent, but like again, like I was pointing out how the that idea of spirituality, and again, this actually ties into reparations, right?
How does
Because
that
you
tie into
can
reparations?
claim, you can, because one, we can claim that one, our spiritual identity, our cultural identity was taken from us in this and that way. You
So
know
they're
what I'm
gonna be
saying?
nice to say, you know something, your spiritual identity was broken. Let's give you a reparations check. Do you really think you? And I'm a serious man. Do you think somebody like College Genesis is gonna sit here and talk? No disrespect to you or whatnot, and that's gonna be a serious conversation. I want serious debate.
Right,
You'll say my spirituality was broken. I lost everything. Give me a reparations check.
right.
I
But
really want
this
somebody to
what you're
come
not.
on
This is
and explain. I explain
Hey,
how.
hey, yeah, yeah, okay, okay. Well, we're talking about reparations. Okay, so this is tying into reparations. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, this is what I'm talking about. I explained earlier in the show that how the Japanese had to pay reparations and restitution, all that stuff like that, to China, Taiwan,
Hello?
Korea,
Can
and
you hear
all of
me,
this. They had to
guys?
pay a total like 40 years. They had to pay. Germany had to pay Poland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, the Eastern Bloc countries and everything. They had to pay France.
I'm
They
sorry,
had
I'm
to
not
pay
trying to be rude. I'm
Britain,
just trying to test here.
Belgium,
I
all
am.
those people reparations to repair and rebuild
Oh,
themselves back up. And Germany had to pay Jewish people, the state of Israel, right, for the Jewish Holocaust, right? Why? What made those things possible? A treaty, a ceasefire, an end of war. Spain had to pay the United States money, give seed the Philippines to the United States and pay money. Why? Because the Treaty of Paris. Spain lost the war, right, and it was blamed for the sinking of the Maine off the coast of Cuba. The United States got Puerto Rico and several Spanish territories and the Philippines. That's the result of war. Now we are the only group of people on this planet who thinks the world knows that to the victor belongs the spoils. War means you get the spoils, and you term to dictate the terms of surrender and the terms of treaty. We're the only group of people who are going to be weak, powerless, begging and groveling at the white man's feet, talking about, I need to demand some reparations. You're going to take care of us and will not feed us, clothe us, give us jobs and everything, but we're going to reparate. Reparations is almost act like an act of war. And you want to hold on to your U.S. citizenship and your passport and identity. See, at some point in time, you guys, black people, got to stop playing. You got to stop playing games and be serious about what we're doing. Like I said, the whole reparations debate. Where is it happening? Online.
all right. Check this though. Check this
Hold
though,
on,
All right,
right?
hold on. Can I
Like,
real quick. Real
look at the
quick.
first thing.
Hold on 1 second. $316. Go ahead and make your comment. And then, guys, we
all
got
right.
about 10 more. We got about 15 more minutes. All right, go ahead.
Sorry, my phone cut out on me. Either way, uh, reparations. Actually, this thing is very doable without anything. Just simply the fact that the whole point of this is to withdraw our political support. By doing that, we've actually got presidential candidates talking about it, where the issue was sitting on the shelf. Even if they do not put reparations on the table, we still got a great ear of a whole bunch of Black America who actually is a little more woken up out of the stupor and pay attention to things that are going on. What I propose is the BAIO actually get behind the ADOS movement and actually help us in this push to reparations while at the same time planting the seed to have some money put in and diverted so the BIO can get its ambitions off the ground. Yes, the idea is to get a sovereign nation. Yes, the idea is to get land infrastructure and everything. But in order to do that, we need businesses, business and money flowing, a reason for African countries to actually let us in the first place. And I propose if we build in Ados town and pick an African country of your choosing, I think Liberia is the best, but I don't know because I ain't been. So it's like if we do that and build an ADOS town, we can actually get more ADOS people who are willing to travel back and forth between the continent because they have a comfortable place to come and go in, a comfortable place to do business in, a comfortable place to invest in. If we want more Black Americans to actually put on the to join the continent, we have to go the mile to make it a little more comfortable and feasible for them to do so.
We already
This
got
is
people
the
doing
way
it.
to actually do it.
Well, Jason,
Yes,
we
but
got
we
people
need
doing that
more.
already, bro.
The idea is to get more. The
We
more,
got
the
we
merrier.
got
The
people
more
doing that,
people,
but
the
that
more
takes
money
time,
flow.
bro. We got people in the BAO in Kenya, Uganda. We got people in Zambia. We got people in South Africa,
No,
Rwanda. We have
that's
members
great.
all over the
Believe
continent.
me, believe me,
Huh?
believe me. I'm rooting for that. But more is merrier, right? And the
Yeah,
more
it
people
takes
come
money
who actually
to
have
build.
money
Hold on,
and
hold
who's
on. This is the
serious
whole thing.
about business,
This is the whole thing. What we have to have is a skills, a pool. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah,
that means we have to create a mutual beneficial situation where just like the Chinese. Let me give you an example, right? And you guys on the panel, tell me if I agree. China and Japan historically hate each other, right?
right,
China, you know history, right?
right.
But guess how much trade and business transactions go across between China and Japan a year?
How much?
About $400 billion. That was like 3 years ago. Four
Uh
hundred
huh.
billion dollars a year worth of business goes between China and Japan a year. Same thing with
But what's
South
the
Korea and Japan. Two
but what's
countries.
the
Hold on, hold on,
proximity?
hold on. Let me ask you a question, right? There's almost no business going between Kenya and Uganda. The Brazzaville and Kinshasa, what separates
Yes.
them is a bridge of the water and all the little now strip of river. One simple bridge and upgrade on the customs and everything to create one of the largest regions right there as far as trade. But there's no incentive for the French people, speaking people, and the Belgian people on either side to get together because of what? Tribalism. I don't like those people. Blah blah blah.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. All this
Tribalism is and always has been a problem. I totally understand that.
all the
However,
stupid,
we can
all the
still
stupid.
hold,
So
we can
when a
still hold on to
black
our
people in
tribal
America come
culture
and say,
and
why you
still
guys
be
across the river? Why you guys can't get together and create a block, a trading block? You guys can bring millionaires. What he don't have, you don't have, and you create a trading block. South Africa, instead of withdrawing from Africa, kicking all the Africans out, how come black South Africa hasn't connected Soweto with Maputo? How come they haven't connected Soweto with Harare? Why have they haven't connected Soweto with Gaborone and stuff like that? Why have they
I,
connected the black
I,
region together?
I,
You see what I mean? You know?
let me
And
try to
why?
answer that
Because
real
there's no
quick. It
money
goes.
can connect us.
what?
Money and being on code can connect us.
Well, like I said, I believe our
It's
culture,
like we can all
a
maintain.
Pan African, a real Pan African culture. You know, a
Yeah,
bullying Pan African culture that says, say, look, put the nonsense down and whatnot. That's like I said, in the BAL, we have people from Africa and whatnot that normally wouldn't speak to each other, but they come into the social network and they bond together. We have people from different parts of Africa and everything. And look at these platforms right here with
actually
Dynas, you
come
know.
over and
You got
bond with
African
Ados
boys coming here.
too.
Yeah, okay, hold on.
And
Let's do this. All right. $316. Go ahead. You got two because we're about to
okay,
close out. So $316. You got
got you. All right,
three minutes, and then
all
we'll do
right.
one
I'm
more
gonna
round.
shoot
Go
that
ahead.
then. Got you. Okay, have those like-minded in the BAIO. Have them connect with ADOS too. All ADOS is an identity. It is our tribe, if you will. We are the of what the Pan African sphere should be. Have them connect with us so we can actually
I
dialogue
got no
and
problem
get
with
a
that.
better understanding of what this thing is all about. Stop listening. I mean, I'm not gonna say stop listening to Tyreek, Tone, and Yvette and all that. Don't stop listening to them because they have worthwhile information, but actually connect with the people, the actual people themselves, and you'll get a better idea. This is not anti-African. It can actually be pan-African, but this mission right here, right now, is to get our particular house straight. Because without it, we are of next to no use to pan-Africanism. Now,
I agree.
we,
I agree.
like I said, if we business centers back and forth with each other that will actually get more and more Americans flying back and forth, doing businesses back and forth, just like I said. My last and final question, what I asked, and now I asked this before in a previous chat, it came off a little more disrespectful than I intended to. For that, I apologize because I nearly got talked over it. What African nation is willing to have us have an autonomous state within their borders? And is that really asking for too much? Is it truly? Because people came off like it was disrespectful, and that's fine. Do we even need it? We can come in and blend in with the culture. Absolutely learn
Let me say this.
and
Let me
get
ask
the
you a
culture,
question.
but we need a full
Hold on,
system
Carl.
going.
He's
Okay.
almost done. All
Okay.
right. All right,
Oh yeah,
Dollar,
yeah,
are
yeah.
you done?
And yeah, we got to come in. I'm almost about to put a cap on it. All right, we can come in, we can learn the culture, we can blend in, yes, and be respectful the way we're supposed to be. But Black Americans, we need a footprint. And it's like once we get that ball rolling, I promise you this thing could be a whole lot bigger, better, better, and bolder than the way it is. And once we get our reparations, we will actually set the legal precedent for other people in the diaspora as well as the continent to seek our reparations. Because the United States will be good and goddamn if they're the only ones under the white sphere who ends up paying some Negroes. They're going to go to their British and be like, you pay them to France, so on and so forth. Ideally. And there you go.
All right, all right, all right.
Okay. All
Let
right,
me ask.
Kyle. So, Kyle, what we'll do? 5 minutes. Answer the question, and then we'll go ahead and close
Okay.
out. So 5 minutes, Kyle. There you
All right. Yeah, well, the thing is, there's African countries that's interested in doing that, but what they need is serious African Americans that are serious about it. The BAL, the reason why we formed this social network is to gather people who are national. There's a lot of people that want to live on the continent. We got a lot of that's no problem, right? But like I said, to build like communities and stuff like that long term and stuff like that, it's going to take a culture, right? And we have to learn the culture of the people you're going to and build that. So that's the end game, right? That's not the primary. That's just the end game. What we you can do, like you talk about building. There's already plans with Africans themselves to build these smart cities and stuff like that, and they want to attract Black people from the West. They want to do business. I believe in, like I said, Black people in America going to Africa and getting a foothold on the continent as individual as groups. I don't see enough people going as groups. Every time I see people go to the continent, they're by themselves and everything. But when Africans come to the United States, they're in groups. They got social clubs. They got all these things going on. Same thing with every other group of people. But when it comes to African Americans, it's like, okay, and like I said, and that thing, the ADOS thing might be good, but I'm just worried about this separatist mentality because I know there's the things that we need from African culture. One is the marriage, and traditional relationships, which is under attack in Black America, right? We need a Black identity. People need to be proud of what they are, their roots are. If you're in a place where everyone sees the thing, beauty about African Americans is, we identify by race. You know what I'm saying? So when we're around other people, even though we may speak a different language and everything, we're comfortable because we feel like we fit in. That's conditioning. Where somebody from another tribe will be uncomfortable with somebody because they're not conditioned to see themselves as the same. Black people in America are conditioned to see themselves as a race, as opposed to like a tribe. Like I said, I don't see where if I'm an ADOS and I'm going to Nigeria, I'm not going to sit there. I'm an ADOS. I'm just going to sit there and chill and blend in, and just be relaxed and everything. Why? Because now Igbo might have a problem with a Yoruba or whatever like that. Let them fight on that thing. But me, as somebody who lived outside of Africa my whole life and everything, I don't have a problem with different tribes and stuff like that. Why? Because you live in America as a minority group or racial minority group. What your vantage point is, Black people are Black people. That's why why you think Caribbeans and everybody was able to come to Black America, even rise to the top in Black America. So what do you think about that, Adalbo?
we're about to close out, Kyle. So
You're all Black.
yeah, but go ahead, Kyle. Go ahead and close out.
Okay, cool. Okay, you can catch me at the BAIO, BAO Afghanistan, the number 5.ning.com. So kindly offer the law, put the link to the social network in the chat room. That'd be great, and everything. But like I said, I think we made our point tonight about reparations. Reparations. Like I said, I'm not saying give up the fight. We're definitely owed reparations. But what I'm saying is this: if you really about reparations, you have to be about nationhood too. Why? Because when you say reparations, what you're basically saying is you have a problem with being America, or you don't want to be part of America no more. It's time for you to bail out and everything. As a golden opportunity to help build over your ancestral homeland, return to your ancestral homeland. But when you basically say, no, I'm an American, you got Yvette Carnell with an American flag draped on her head, and she's saying stuff like she's close to the white people. How can you say you're close to the white people, but yet
She's
you talk about
Irish. She's
she said
Irish.
her and told that they're close to the white people in culture and habits and everything. So that's what it's all about, you know. And like I said, I wish somebody would come up with another name besides Adolf, because it's I believe with the African American stuff, but the Adolf being connected in the media with Antonio Moore and Tariq and all them, I got a serious problem with it because of all the black immigrants. That's not who we are. You know what I'm saying? We do not hate black immigrants. We do not hate black people from Africa and everything like that. You know, we're just saying, okay, this is our identity. You know, respect that and everything. I don't tell people. There's never been a nativist movement in Black America. We're the only group of people that have never practiced nativism towards black immigrants or anybody. We're open, always. Black Americans always been welcoming to everybody. Some of our top leaders come from the Caribbean and Africa and everything. You know, and historically in Black America. We're probably the people that love Africa the most in the world, you know, where everybody's dismissive of Africa. We're the people, so let's not lose that.
Absolutely. So, guys, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you go to search for. Excuse me. Oh, no problem, brother. No problem. Anytime.
I said,
Brother.
thank you for
Anytime.
having me. I would love to talk to you about this.
Yeah,
I
said anytime, brother. No problem, brother. Thank you. Anytime.
Right,
so, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you go to search for Huru. No, actually, no. Go to dynastymirror.com. Keep it simple. dynastymirror.com. Go to dynastymirror.com. Like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.
Peace.
Peace. All right.